Okay, it's now 10 a.m. We're going to call the meeting to order. We'll start with roll call. D2 present.
D3 present.
Notice the meeting was properly posted on September 9th, 2024. We'll begin with number one, which is discussion and possible action regarding the approval of our minutes from August 13th.
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, first on the departmental items is a discussion and possible action regarding the selection of our September 2024 BOCC Employees of the Month. Welcome, Karen Kent.
Hi, KK.
What do you call Joe? CC?
Joseph. We had
I
two.
want a nickname.
Yeah, I'll give you one, just not right now.
Okay.
We had two options this month, option A, option B. So
Oh.
you guys don't have to select. You should have them there on your area. Jessica?
Move receipt of the documents as well as approval of
Oh.
recommendation of A and B.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those are great. Nominations. Okay, number three is the discussion and possible action regarding the county's authority to continue to provide social services, considering the legislative repeal of the social services statutes. Discussion to include but not limited to Oklahoma County Social Services Department, policies, procedures, programs, services, contracts, finances, accounting, and employees. Hi, Christy.
Good morning. That was a long list.
I'll make sure we cover everything.
Okay, well, I'll just start with a very brief general overview, just so kind of everything's on the record as to where we are and why we're here. The situation that occurred was in the last legislative session, a bill was passed that repealed many of the statutes under which the Social Services Department operates. And so when that occurred, then I'm being really abbreviated here, but when that occurred, basically, District 1 was tasked to work with social services and the DA's office and determine, okay, based on this legislation, what things specifically go away and what things is the county legally able to do. So we've been working on getting those things determined, and then simultaneously, of course, we've been working toward, for the things that we know go away, we've been able to be taking steps toward getting those wrapped up, and the things that go away based on legislation, that effective date is November the 1st. So we've been working toward that date on the things that we know. The things that we know that we cannot keep are our homeless services that we were providing, and that also includes the 7-bed respite program and the indigent pharmacy program. Those things specifically go away. The things that we believe, able to do legally. And I will give you handouts that will cover this, so you don't have to write down everything.
Okay, thank you.
The things that we believe we are able to do or are able to be continued are the burial and cremation program, the senior center services, which currently is a contract with Daily Living Centers. There is a statute that addresses commodities distribution, which we actually worked with several years ago for some time. So that is one that we can do, and I actually have Mason Weaver from the Regional Food Bank here because we had had some discussion about it, and just so he can put out there kind of what some thoughts he had on what that could look like if we do that. And then the fourth thing is while the indigent pharmacy program is repealed, the employee side is not affected by that legislation, so that then becomes a decision of the board. So that's the quick overview of what we can do, what we can't do. If you would like, I can do a quick run through on where we are in terms of our contracts and our staff and so on, or we can have other conversation first.
I'd like to hear about the contracts.
Right. And again, that is a handout that I will leave with you. We really don't have that many contracts. We've got 7 contracts total. So 3 of those are ones that we knew early on were impacted by all of this. So those are HAU, which is Health Alliance for the Uninsured. And then 2 related to Cardinal House. One of those is tied to an ARPA project. Those 3 we knew would need to be closed, so we went ahead and processed our contracts normally this year, but with knowing that they had the 30-day out clause. So we are currently in the process of exercising those 30-day out clauses, and we notified all of them long ago that here's what's happening, here's what you need to know, here's the timeline, and here's when you'll be receiving, so just to expect it. Then there are 4. 2 of them are copier related that remain. And then the Daily Living Center, and then RPHS, which is the relief pharmacy services that we have. So that's all the contracts that we have to deal with.
Okay. And then when we visited yesterday on the pharmacy, we have to give them 60 days. Is that correct? Is that a contract or just 60-day notice? Where's John Wilkerson? John Wilkerson, yeah. Okay, the health plan notice. Okay.
In terms of our staff, we have 14 staff people full-time. We calculated what a total leave payout would look like based on August timeframe, assuming that everybody is impacted, and that currently would be 115,000 again for everybody, but that's an August timeframe, so that's going to go up and down and up and down from here on out. But just to give you a marker.
Thank you. That's important.
We've been working with our staff all the way through this, and I want to really stress that, because that's been very important to us and one of our highest priorities. We've been working individually with staff. We've been working with them as a group. We've been connecting with HR, with benefits, with retirement, with OESC, making sure that every possible opportunity that we can work with is at their disposal. So they know that they are fully supported by us. Out of those 14, just so you know, 10 of those staff are vested. 8 of those 10 are eligible to retire, but only 1 is where they are able to retire. So the other 7 will need to continue working. We have 2 who are vested, but they're not eligible to retire. We have 4 people who are not vested, and one of them has a vesting date of November 21st. Another has a vesting date of January the 6th. The other two are October 2025 and February 2026. They have been, they have been working hard at trying to find jobs. Obviously, there's a preference to stay within the county if possible. So they've missed no opportunities in making, we watch that page every day and make sure that they're applying, that they're aware of everything. So they've been diligent about working on that. Um, And then I have a page that I'll give you that shows here, based on the four things really that we're talking about that we can continue to do, that just has a little bit of information on those. And I will hand that to you as soon as I finish the sentence, basically, to show where are they covered legislatively, why it is that we can do them. And then a page that shows here's what that would serve, here's how many people, here's what that cost would be, or if you did it in this way, or there are other ways that ideas can be put together based on what the interest is in what is contemplated for being retained. Also, I know that there will be interest in wanting to know at the end of the day, based on what shuts down in November, what may or may not continue at the end of the year, what is it going to look like on the budget side? So I'm just bringing that up to let you know we've had that sheet going for a long time, and just as things move, we plug in or pull out of it. So so as we learn new things, that sheet changes day to day. So just letting you know that's available on an ongoing basis. It's just a matter of what we know at any given time. So that's kind of my overview. And again, we've been working with District 1 on how to approach all of these things. Joe, do you want to? I can give the handouts that I have.
Yeah, so, Christie,
Yes.
a couple of things.
Mhm.
What was your approved budget for this year for your department?
2.3, Carol, 2.3.
I have it right here.
Oh.
It's $2,379,705.
2,379.
Is that the right number?
And I know that there are going to be things that you're going to ask for that I probably do not have in front of me. So just know that
Can't see. Okay, thanks.
so just know any of those things we can get to you.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, as Christy mentioned, I'll start first with the Daily Living Center. That is a contract, as you know, that is under a different title of law than the Title 56 statutes that were by and large eliminated, with the exception, as Christy mentioned, of the burial services. So that Daily Living Center contract can continue per statutory authority.
Is it still 163? Is that what it
That's
renewed at?
that's the Daily Living Center.
100. Okay.
Joe, do you know what statute that is?
It's Title 19, and I can't recall
No,
off
it's
the top of my head, but it's a Title 19 statute. Yeah.
You want a motion to
Motion to
receive?
receive document?
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay. So that one can continue. I think, Christy, also in your budget is the Route 19 contract. Is that correct?
That is correct. That is currently in our budget. I don't have it addressed in these pages,
Well,
but that is
that's
currently
an
in our budget.
ongoing contract that can continue as well. It wasn't addressed within the
Correct.
Title 56 issue,
Correct, yes, and I,
the Route 19 the bus line.
Bus lines, okay.
yes.
Is that through Embark?
Yes.
Who's that? Embark,
Yeah.
okay. And then what's that amount? You remember
That
off the
is
top of your head? It's like 147, I feel like. I'm sorry, was it in this budget? 132. Okay.
So I think then the lease and the Xerox maintenance, I think those can go away and we can figure out some other way to provide those services in the event some of these things we're about to talk about come to fruition. With regard to the HAU, can you refresh my memory what that contract is for?
HAU has funding that they raise every year that relates to, it's for medication for the free clinics, for patients of the free clinics. So they raise the funds and then they tell us, here's how much we've got. And we work with them so we provide the meds and then they reimburse monthly based on what's utilized for that month.
Okay.
So
And-
budgetarily, it's a wash.
And then they also provide the space for the pharmacy. Am I remember that correctly? Or no? Okay. Oh, it's out. Yeah. Okay. I've been gone a while. So.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. The respite care. That is. Remind everybody what the respite care does.
Respite care is a 7-bed program housed at Cardinal House. It is a safe place for convalescing for people who are homeless and have experienced an illness or an injury. It's non-medical. It's more for people who are at a stage where if you or I had the same situation and had a home to go to, we could heal just fine. But you can't heal when you don't have a home nearly as well. So it provides room and board. It also for people in that situation while they are recovering, and at the same time, it provides connections to different types of services that they're eligible for, or any kind of supports that they may need.
As you've been making our vendors and providers aware of what potentially may be occurring, what are they indicating that the impact on what they're doing would be?
They're pretty upset. They're worried.
Beyond that, in terms of what it would do, like respite care, for instance, where do those people go if we are not somehow providing those services?
Terry has been working with them on the people who are currently still in place. Terry, do you want to speak to? It's tough because we're sort of a unique situation. I will tell you that we were the first to provide this program here. Once they saw the way that it worked, then a hospital came on board saying, we need to do this. And then another hospital came on board. So we were the leader of the pack on having that concept in place. And I think there are 4 hospitals now.
Yeah, Cardinal works with 4 hospitals that do respite care that keep people from when they're in the hospital and they need to be released, to keep them from going back to the hospital and it being a higher charge. But to answer your question, what's going to happen when our respite program goes away? They're not going to have anywhere to go. They're going to have pneumonia. They're going to be out on the streets. They're going to get infections. And then we as taxpayers will be paying it in a different area is what's going to happen.
So what I'm hearing is the capacity that we have will be reduced and there will be an impact on the population we're serving and potentially expenses in
Yes,
other
sir.
areas.
Okay.
Okay, so
Definitely.
let me ask you this. It appears that the statutes are clear as they are today, or will be November 1st, that we can no longer provide these services. It may be good that Danielle and Jamie are here, but I'm wondering, because of legislation that was passed, the boards of county commissioners have the ability to provide any services that are outlined in the federal legislation to which the money is tied. Asking and not having had a chance to ask you this to provide me a formal analysis, but after hearing kind of what we do with the county's funds here, is this potentially an ARPA-related expense?
Come on. Join us.
ARPA, and so is the homeless service trailer, and part of that is the agreement with Cardinal House. And depending on the movement of the department or not, we would encourage just bundling what's remaining in that contract into Cardinal House. But I was responding to emails, so I missed what the specific
So
category was.
Respite care
Okay.
for people who are homeless and needing a place to convalesce. That is a program we currently have under our regular general fund budget, and Joe's question is that something will be appropriate under ARPA?
Maybe.
Right,
Let
so-
me put a one pager together.
So while this service appears to be going away as of November 1, it is possible that we could ask you all to do a review and as to eligibility and be able to continue this at least through the permissible period of ARPA, correct?
Right. And so we can put together an eligibility one pager on the respite care.
Okay, all right. And then you mentioned transferring, I guess it's the 13,000 Cardinal ARPA. And we would transfer that for what use?
So I would
Potentially.
say whatever was left on the county side, because there had been portions in that specific project that the county was going to implement a part of that project, and then Cardinal House was implementing the other half of the project. I would just increase the contract that's with Cardinal House,
And that is,
assuming they're willing to.
what
take on
service
that.
was that providing though?
Laundry services,
Laundry.
I believe.
Okay.
So there would be 15.
Oh.
So we're saying take what we're not gonna expend and move it over into the respite.
Into Cardinal's House contract, yeah.
Well, not it wouldn't be, well, yeah, Cardinal House, different contract, right. Okay, so there would be 15 here.
So
I have a
It's not
question
a lot.
regarding
It's
that.
like under $20,000.
Right, it's under.
But I would suggest just amending their contract so they
Wait.
could continue to provide the laundry
It's not
services.
It's not under 20.
In regards to the Cardinal House contract for respite care that we're discussing and possibly funding with some more dollars until 2026, if possible, what type of staff support do you need for that contract? Is that purely just funding provided for them to provide that service, or do you need staff support in regards to providing? I mean, what is there any staff
We
support needed?
We have used staff support in the past, just because our staff are so strong at helping people navigate and improve their situations and become more self-sufficient. But it's a contract with
Okay.
Cardinal House, and then we can add staff support to that, or it's also built in on their end.
Okay.
Up to a point.
And then Danielle, remind me how much funds we have left that are unaccounted for. Was it 1 million?
Okay, so I guess I would ask Christy, you to get with Danielle and Jamie
Mhm.
and make sure that they have copies of the current Cardinal
Contract.
House
Mhm.
contract that is going to go away as of November 1st. and y'all begin the process of just looking at eligibility. And, you know, Jessica, to your point about staff, I don't know if that would mean we would be continuing to fund staff. So if you would make that part of your analysis as an eligible expense as well, or it would just be a contract for service,
Yeah,
and
it'd
we
be
would
great
at least continue to provide the service.
Contract for service, I think, but both. definitely
We can
look at
show both.
ways. Yeah.
We've been, as we go, trying to provide what different options look like for different things, so.
I just know with the Daily Living Center's contract that there was some staff support needed because it was billed by service. And so,
Right, well, that staff support, I mean, would still be necessary
Okay.
for someone to do the billing, but you can have the same person doing that billing, doing the daily living billing, and doing the burials and cremations. One
Okay.
person can do all of those things.
such as like our financial administrator. Okay.
Potentially, yes. Yeah.
But I love the idea of possibly funding it with ARPA.
Me too.
And then you never know what the legislature is going to do from year to year, so we might suddenly be able to be back in business. So that would allow this service to continue to possibly be provided should the board choose, if it's an eligible expense. Okay, so that kind of takes care of the Cardinal House aspect of it, of at least potentially being able to carry on the services that we've been providing. With regard to what Christy mentioned on the distribution of commodities, that too was within Title 19. And basically, I think she provided it for you, but in short, the county has the ability to use county vehicles to distribute commodities that have been donated either to the county or to school districts within the county. And additionally, down in that, it says that the county can hire staff necessary, you can pay storage, rental facilities, et cetera, to carry out this program. So Christy made me aware that there was some discussions with Regional Food Bank that they have, if I don't get this right, Mason will correct me here shortly. You don't have the capacity, it's my understanding, to be able to get all the food out the door right now.
Correct. So
You want to come on up? And so this is Mason Weaver with Regional Food Bank.
Hi, everybody. My name is Mason Weaver. I'm the Senior Programs Manager at the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma. We've obviously worked with the county for a long time on our senior programs. So currently, the program that we're talking about is the commodity and also donated foods distribution across for low-income seniors in Oklahoma County. This currently happens both through our home delivery and through our partnership with the Oklahoma City Housing Authority and the senior centers. Essentially, what we'd be talking about, and I had approached Christy about this because we were talking about some other programs, where I said, "Hey, do you think you guys could help with this?" And she said, "Maybe we could." But we currently run food pantries for low-income seniors in senior housing authority buildings. We've just expanded the facility at the Jeltz Senior Center, so that serves both Jeltz and McGuire. We've been running that pantry for about 3 years. We started in the middle of COVID. Currently, that one is staffed by housing authority staff, and they're just I've been working with them for about the last 6 months on trying to find a solution to the staffing side of it. We have the facility, we have all the equipment, we have the food. We're good on that. I have a staff member that runs the pantries at Andrews and at Classen, but we are sort of in a crunch where the physical amount of sort of time and sort of persons, like staff time that it takes to make those things happen, I just don't have the capacity to do. And so in looking at this program and talking about it with Christy, we have the opportunity, if the county's willing, to devote, and Christy and I worked through the numbers on it, 2 staff members whose jobs would be to run the food pantry at the Jeltz building, which serves about 300 low-income seniors every month, as well as do build food boxes for the senior housing authorities that don't currently have built-in food pantries, and distribute those, as well as doing our home delivery. The situation we're currently in is that because we don't have staff available to do it, we are using 100% purchased food boxes, because that's what we have the capacity to do. By having the staff members build those food boxes in the pantry, which is very large and very nice. It's actually in the old Daily Living Center facility that was at Jeltz that's been vacated after they moved. It's going to cut our food costs in half, and it also means that we can use fresh produce and donated product in those boxes, whereas currently we're only using shelf-stable products.
And so the way this, I think, would work conceptually is we would enter into an agreement with Regional Food Bank whereby you would donate the food
Yes.
and then we would turn around and distribute it, either
Yes.
Directly to homes or locations where individuals are living, or we would have pickup centers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Right. And so essentially our current agreement with the housing authority, the way the MOU works is that the housing authority owns the sort of the physical room that it's in. And then the regional food bank owns all the equipment, and sort of the concept of the pantry itself. And I think in this, we'd end up with a three-way MOU where the housing authority says, we maintain this facility. The county says we run this food pantry and this food boxing program, in terms of just the staffing, and then we're still spending like all the money on the food, on the supplies, on the boxes, and our staff is taking care of the like building a list of who gets delivered to, and then county staff is using county vehicles and staff time. The other aspect of this that is not happening right this second, but it will as we move into this fall, is that the home deliveries should be reimbursable under the new 5310 money from Embark. I've been working very closely with Marilyn Dillon at Embark. Currently, Embark is providing our home deliveries, and so as we move into the 5310 expansion, those home delivered food boxes are the same as a trip to the grocery store. Essentially, they're connecting the senior with food, and so the county would be able to have those county vehicles be 5310 vehicles and get reimbursed per trip, per food box delivery. And I don't have numbers on that. That's a question for Dr. Dillon, not for me.
And so the county might be, what it sounds like is initially we might be out some revenue ourselves, but the hope, the anticipation would be that should we enter into some type of agreement, that we would see revenue coming in the door that would make this nearly self-sustaining or
Correct.
self-sustaining.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is full circle for me. So I was the former president and CEO of Daily Living Centers, and
Oh.
operated
Lovely.
out of the McGuire and
Yeah.
Schultz building. And so I know the residents very well. Christy's smiling and shaking her head. Very near and dear to me. It was one of the saddest days to move out of the space that you are currently operating.
We built a
Um,
big wall, and
did you?
and so yeah, we split the room in half. So the back side with the bathrooms is the staff break area,
Mhm.
and we're using all the rest of it. So we've got coolers, freezers, shelving. It's lovely.
That's awesome. So
Come by.
it's a great, it's actually a great space and a great facility. I also was a recipient of 6 5310 vehicles through Embark.
Oh, great.
So I'm very, very, very familiar with the process. It is a stringent one, and we were part of their food program. So I know everything that you're talking about very well, and really appreciate you continuing to serve those that live in those senior centers, because they would attend Daily Living centers every day in order to receive meals. Their favorite was bingo, so that way they could receive their meal for that evening. It's very, very important in order to continue to provide this service. So near and dear to my heart.
Good. Well, I'm happy to answer any other questions about it or talk at length about any of these things.
So I think what I would like, given that this isn't a new expense, Christie has a budget of $2 million that when November 1st comes along, we would have the ability to take those dollars and shift them to this program. And then, based upon what we've heard, hopefully have a self-sustaining program going forward. So it would be my hope that you all would be supportive, at least, of Christie continuing to work with Mason and then the district attorney's office to make sure that my simple reading of the statute would allow for this type of program. And given that, you know, potentially there would be some staffing, do that with a sense of urgency so we can give the employees as well as the board time to make some decisions ahead of November 1st. So that would be my motion with regard to the commodities.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you,
you
Mason,
for
for
your
coming
time.
and speaking today,
All right.
bringing me down memory path. Memory lane.
Okay, John. Yeah. Hi, John. You may have to save me from myself here. As Christy mentioned, you all are aware that as part of our benefits program, our county pharmacy provides to our employees at no copay access to certain medications. Generally speaking, those are not Schedule III drugs, correct?
Correct.
It's just
Just,
term maintenance drugs?
Yeah, true generic maintenance, 90-day supply to our retirees and our actives and their kids and their wives, spouses, etc.
Okay, and we've recently become aware that we may have the opportunity to expand our pharmacy program for our employees only, which to be able to take advantage of some either, well, rebates is not the right word.
No, really just pricing. So currently, we're in a perfect place for this. If you wanted to go down that road, we already have the pharmacy, we already have the staff, we're already spending the money and spending more money. It's the same thing. So it would be just simply rerouting prescriptions at zero copay through our county pharmacy, then making the pharmacy charges, the profit on that. Members getting zero copays for the prescription drugs, pharmacy making money, just kind of a win-win for everyone.
And the thought here, and there are two options, right? The way to do it, the one that you just described, and then there's a second option where we're not bringing in revenue, but we're seeing.
Yeah, there's two different ways to do it. One is called a pass-through method. So it's all on paper. All the transactions are on paper. And really, our PBM or pharmacy benefit manager tracks all the prescriptions compared to ones that are going to normal pharmacies and shows us exactly how much we're saving, how much dollars we're recouping into our plan for each prescription filled. That's a pass-through method. The other one is a traditional method, just like any other pharmacy. It's all transactional, run cash transactions. They deposit the money in our bank, comes through our plan. So either way, I think would work well. Like I said, again, we're already spending the money. We're already doing it. We're spending more at it. We're kind of uniquely placed now to have the resources to do it if we wanted to do it, which it'd be a big startup cost to start a pharmacy up. But we already have the groundwork. Employees and retirees already use it. It would just be a matter of how many prescriptions could we reroute there at a zero copay. And a lot of people would say, yeah, if I get my copay at $0, for sure I'm gonna go to the county pharmacy. But it's really a timing thing as well. We, really, they said, just let it run for 6 months. We can do the reporting, kind of see what the savings are. But we spend $12 million on prescriptions a year, gross, net about $9 million. So if we recaptured, some of the money related to that, I think it would benefit everyone. Win-win.
And so here, John, the long-term hope would be that this program would, depending on the route you went, generate enough revenue coming back to the county that would pay for the staffing necessary to operate the pharmacy, plus put an additional sum of money into employee benefits each year beyond what the budget board is already doing in
Correct.
transfers.
Yeah, it should over time. And that's what all the experts have done. Luckily, we have, really good partners on our pharmacy side, Affirmed RX, which is in with, Cost Plus Drugs, if you've heard of them, but players in the market who've done all these scenarios before with other employers. So it's nothing new, but it should be enough to, once we get enough volume to be a revenue generator, pay for itself, and then put money back in the health thing because we're spending those dollars anyways.
Or on the other way of doing it through the pass through, what we would see is rather than the dollars coming in, we would just see a decrease in the overall expense that would allow us to build a surplus if we continue to fund at the level we're funding now. That would essentially be the hope.
Correct. And, other employers do it, other hospital systems, other people have access to this stuff do it. So a lot of their clients do it. So it's nothing new. They're pretty familiar with the processes of getting it going. It's just a matter of kind of flipping the switches, signing the contracts, getting people in the door. But they already have the software to go. So we're really uniquely positioned in a place to do it where most employers wouldn't. If we wanted to do it, probably $1 million to start it up if we didn't have all this infrastructure and everything already. But it's something we're already paying for. But I think there's a way to save money and kind of benefit everyone.
And there are some things that I think you're still looking at, right? What drugs would we offer? It would be an expanded offering, but not those narcotics, Schedule III type drugs.
Correct. Yeah, it wouldn't be Schedule III or the real high cost specialty drugs, the ones that have to be refrigerated and cost $20,000 for a fill. Not those, but probably about 90% of your routine drugs, that aren't controlled substances. And we already have really good utilization at the county pharmacy by members and retirees. So that would I think, really ramp it up. We send through about 6,000 scripts a month on a regular pharmacy program. So if we got half of that, that would more than pay for it and make it profitable.
Okay. And then we're also checking on insurance. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, we're gonna have to, if we did go down this route just as a discovery item, higher liability insurance is required. So we just request a quote just to see what those numbers would look like.
Okay. All right. And again, much like when we were discussing the commodities program where Christie has it a budget, this could be a program that we do on a 6-month basis to kind of proof of concept, utilizing the existing budget that's already allocated to social services, and just move that into, say, the benefits department's budget to operate this program. So I think that is something that is certainly worth exploring. You guys know, each and every year we have a lengthy discussion on employee benefits and the cost. And if this is an opportunity to provide our employees with better service and at a lower cost to the county overall, I certainly think it's worth exploring and would be worth shifting some of Christie's existing budget on November 1st to do this proof of concept, assuming that everything legal, liability wise, et cetera, can be worked out. So
I agree with that, as long as it's cost effective.
And I really think it would take about 6 months to find out for sure. Once we start getting people in and looking at financials and them doing the reporting, but it wouldn't be day one, obviously.
That I don't. My conversations primarily are with the pharmacist. Our pharmacist had this almost exact type of situation when she was helping out a tribal pharmacy, and she asked them the question. She said, "Why are you not charging their insurance?" "Oh, we just haven't." And she said, "This is what that would look like." And she was able to ramp their program up. I mean, make the exact change that we're making. And it starts paying for itself very, very quickly. And Martina has had years of retail experience as well. And she knows the level. There are standard levels at which if you do X number of scripts a day, this is where you break even. And then here's where your profit starts. And here's where those steps are. So it's a really interesting thought, and she's not just seen it work, but she's implemented it before. So I I think it would be pretty exciting to have some new revenue streams coming in to help out with some of the things the county is experiencing.
And so in potentially doing this from November through June 30th as that trial period, what we're looking at is the cost of the pharmacists, 2 techs that we currently have, and potentially 1 administrative assistant or 2 administrative assistants out of Christie's current budget.
Oh, can you say that again?
Well, we already pay for a pharmacist and the 2 techs, so that expense would just continue through June 30th. The thing that we would need to visit with John about is whether or not we can do 1 administrative assistant to kind of help with all the clerical and billing, et cetera. That might take 2 positions. And if you utilize 2 of the 14 existing people, their salary is already budgeted through June 30th as well. So
So would they be specific to the pharmacy, or would they just be social services?
they would,
positions
no,
that could also do-
there wouldn't be,
that could also do the
I think
billing
they would
and
be
other-
housed within the benefits department. This would be a
Okay,
benefits offering. Yeah.
Okay,
And just a current note, the current structure is a pass-through structure in terms of when the member gets their prescription there, they bill us directly, we pay it out of the health plan. It doesn't go through any of our PBM or any of our mechanisms. So those we're kind of leaving on the table as well right now. Those could go through insurance and recoup some of those charges as well. So that's the additional batches that are already there, the people that are already filling, we're not sending those through. We're just reimbursing them directly. We could go through some different contract sources and reimburse those through insurance and make revenue on those as well.
so I think from the conversation I had with you, John, yesterday, our only concerns, because most of this information is the first time for us to see it. And so I would need to go back and talk to Commissioner Mon in regards to what his thoughts are on a 6-month basis or trial, because we haven't received this information. But the conversation you and I had yesterday was just concerns on timing. When you'd be able to provide an idea of what that would cost or what the benefit would be to the county. We did talk about the 6-month trial, so I do like that idea of doing it for just 6 months to see how it goes. But I just want to make sure that we're giving employees enough time in order to, transition into new roles and apply for other county positions. And, if this doesn't work and we don't see revenue after 6 months, where does this leave us? And so would definitely like a lot more information, a budget of what the total cost would be before we make any decisions.
To Jessica's point, do you think John, could get us some numbers by, I think we meet again in 2 weeks, is that right?
Well,
Or-
Commissioner Mon will the 20th, and then I guess so as soon as possible.
So
By the end of this month.
So budget's easy. Budget's easy.
Yes.
The people, the staff. When you want projections, that's a little harder
Mhm.
because maybe on X amount of scripts switch over, but we could try on some projection numbers.
So that way he can, let me know how he would like to proceed with that.
I'm very interested in this concept and trying to do things to shore up our employee benefits, and it would benefit our employees as well. It seems to be on the face a win-win. So I'd like for you to continue to explore, and then if you report back to us.
We'll do.
Okay. Thank you, John, Christine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, with regard to the number of employees we have, hopefully we can absorb them within other areas of the county, should they want to pursue that option. We've discussed some things that may, allow us to operate programs, statutorily authorized programs, in other areas that would also retain some of those jobs. it may be that prior, at November 1, that we were not able to have something for everything, which I'm sorry that the legislature put us in this position. Dedicated employees who are offering a valuable service. I know that our office has worked with some legislators at the end of last year to try to at least allow the county the ability to determine for itself whether or not it wants to continue to operate these services. It will be our intent to continue that effort. So I appreciate Christy, you and Terry, and I think Carol putting all these things together for us, the numbers, and know that we're at least going to look to see what we can continue to do, and then help your employees transition as well. So
Yeah, thank you very much, and so appreciative of the support and the guidance that we've had. And just know we've been doing everything we can for employees, and we'll continue to do so to get them placed as needed. And then I will close with throwing in that yesterday was my 34-year anniversary with
Oh my
Oklahoma County.
gosh.
So
Yay.
so
Happy anniversary.
I'll just say it's a really interesting time right now.
Yeah. Well, I'll echo Joe's comments. Really appreciate your leadership, your team's leadership. This is difficult. And I know it's difficult up here, even talking through this. And so we just really appreciate all that you've done and your leadership in that department.
Thank you so much.
Mason, thanks for coming down. John,
Thank you,
John left.
Mason.
John, thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. So we'll move on to number 4, which is discussion and possible action related to the application of funding administered through the Oklahoma Department of Environmental Quality from the Oklahoma Volkswagen Settlement Trust. The goal of this program is to reduce nitrogen oxide emissions by replacing repowered older vehicles with newer diesel and alternative fueled vehicles.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Nikki.
I made packets for everyone. They are the attachments that are on the agenda item, but
Okay.
if you would like a packet, I do have it available.
Yes, thank you.
I have one. It's what you sent me, correct?
So this is a grant that has gone around to the different commissioners' offices. And it's basically a grant from the DEQ, the Department of Environmental Quality. And what they're wanting to do is they're wanting to reduce nitrogen oxide emissions that are placed in the air by older vehicles. And so this is an award for class 4 through 8 vehicles. So those are very large vehicles. They are basing these classes off of the size of that vehicle. So for us as a county, I was able to speak with Jeremy in District 3. And basically what he said is that that they need a dump truck, basically. And so there are different levels of approval on this application. So it's a reimbursement grant based off of what type of vehicle you are wanting to get, whether it be electric vehicle, whether it be an electric, natural gas, whatever it is that you want to convert to that reduces those nitrogen oxide emissions out of the air, is basically what it's going to be, what it's going to cost. So there's not like you're going to get 300,000 or 200,000. It's based off of the type of vehicle that you get. So we can put an application in per district. So each district can put in an application of their own. It is a competitive grant, so each district would have to garner enough points to be awarded. But it's all individual. So every individual district can get their own award amount, but it is a reimbursement and you do have to obviously pay upfront. The county is a governmental entity, so we will not have share costs. So it's 100% reimbursed. So that's really great. So I'm just looking for the approval or the recommendation for this to go to the BOCC, so that I can start working on the application. I know that, like I said, there's been interest with District 3. So I would like to go out there. I would like to see what it is that they would like to do, what type of vehicle they would like to purchase, and see if we can make it happen for them.
What? Yeah. Oh, motion to approve. Sorry.
Do you have any questions, Joe? Okay.
I seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Try to get you a dump truck.
Need a dump truck.
Good dump
Thank you,
truck,
Nikki.
too.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry.
Okay, number 5 is discussion and possible action regarding policies, processes, procedures, and status reports related to the planning, oversight, and administration of Oklahoma County's grant programs.
So the Grants Watch list is the same unless there's one addition. If you guys have any individual questions on these grants that are listed and that we've talked about at the other meetings, please let me know and I'll address that. But the only thing that I've added to the Grants Watch list is the DEQ grant. So if you have any more questions about that or any other questions.
I don't have any questions. Okay, any other questions?
Mm-mm.
No? Okay, thank you, Nikki.
And then lastly is the Oklahoma County Grants Report. And that is basically all of the grants that we have actually been awarded and what we are using them for to date. So if you have any questions about that, feel free and I'll answer them to the best of my ability.
I didn't have any questions, but can I have a copy of yours?
Yeah.
That list? I didn't print it. Just so I can share with the commissioner. Thank you. Is this it? No. Oh, yeah. I don't need this part. There you go. Thank you. I just wanted this. Thank you. Okay, I don't have any questions. Any questions for Nikki?
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is number 6, discussion possible action regarding the updating and approval of the job description for the financial administrator for the BOCC.
Jessica.
Do you want
um,
to start with Nikki?
Well, I was wondering if you all would mind. I've been a little busy. I know my situation doesn't necessarily mean you need to wait, but I would ask that we would just postpone discussion of 6 and 7
Okay,
for a little while so I could have some additional time.
sure.
Okay, thank you.
Definitely.
Colton, are you good with that?
I guess. Yeah, you two are.
Yeah.
Go with it.
Okay, thank you.
So would you like just to strike them, or would you like to defer to next policy and governance meeting?
Yeah, let's just, that's a good point.
So I'll motion to defer to next policy and governance meeting in October.
I'll second that. Thank you, Jessica.
Absolutely. I will state that Miranda is in the house, and she has done such a good job in regards to being an interim financial administrator, and just really grateful for her time. And she's dove right in and has had a really positive attitude, even though it's been challenging in regards to technology, and just really wanted to take a moment to show our appreciation for you. Thank you. All in favor? Aye. Okay, number 8 is discussion and possible action regarding policies, procedures, processes, and status report related to planning, oversight, and administration of Oklahoma County's ARPA funding allocation.
Good morning. All right, so we will jump right in. It's very basic updates as usual, talking a little bit about fund status, our subrecipient updates, the ongoing work plan through the end of the year, and then just a reminder of some upcoming project closures. I do want to note there are going to be some changes on this deck in comparison to when we were able to submit it to the actual information now. So it's not going to be populated on the screen due to the deadlines, but we've received a lot of information from subrecipients in the last 48 hours. And since the updated subrecipient information isn't required to be due to us until the 13th, which is this Friday, we will again update this and then send out a new version at the end of the week when we have the numbers again. There, I do want to note on your projects approved, we do have a typo here as well. It says 105 projects, but you actually have 125 projects because you have 42 new subrecipients. So that's really exciting. That project number jumped quite a bit. Previously, it was in the 80s. And then of your projects that are fully expended, you have 56. There's only 460,000 of the unauthorized community funds remaining. And then total authorizations of funds has been at 152 million, 0.6, which is an increase from 147. And then your obligated funds has increased as well. It is at 97.2, and that was from 88.1. And then your expended to date is now at 76.4, and that is a growth from 75.3. This gives you an overview of your projects in general. You'll see that this graph has changed substantially since the last time we were here. Again, that is because we are including your new subrecipients on here. So all 42 of those are showing that they are unexpended at this time, but that is because we are still going through the contracting process, which we will talk a little bit about now. So we have been receiving information on an ongoing basis from your subrecipients. That number says that we were waiting on 30. We have received some, like I said, even into last night and into this morning. So there will be a reduction on that when we send the updated deck at the end of this week, along with the EFT forms and then your upcoming contracts that are going to be on VOCC. I already know that as of this morning, that is from 9 to 11, but is going to continue to grow before the end of this week is over. So this kind of gives you an overview of each of the steps that are required and the information that is required from these subrecipients in order to even get them to that contracting phase. So we do that initial outreach, asking them to send us their updated information on their project description, on their budget. We validate those budgets. We make sure that there's nothing over the 10% allowed administrative costs and that everything still aligns with an eligible use. We collect their information for creating them as a vendor for the county. We don't do that setting up. We send it to your accounts payable, but we do collect the EFTs, the W-9s, and their check information on the backside and send it over. Then we do the subrecipient determination checklist. So whether they're going to be a subrecipient, a contractor, or a beneficiary, we have completed the subrecipient checklist for all of your new 42 subrecipients, and they will all be designated as subrecipients. Then they submit their risk assessment information into a Microsoft form, and then we will look at the form and make those determinations on whether they are going to be a low, medium, or high risk subrecipient. And again, the caveats on those being if you are a medium or a high risk, you are paid only on a reimbursement versus getting your money up front. After we've made their risk determination, we are able to draft that into their contract so that everybody is aware of where they're at and what their payment schedule will look like. That contract gets sent to the DA to be approved, and then it gets signed by the subrecipient and by the county. And then they're able to finally receive all of their funds. So just slowly, kind of those steps along the way. And we are tracking that for all of your subrecipients. Like I said, these charts are already out of date and nobody is late. I do want to clarify that we have not hit the deadline for when we've asked for this information. It is at the end of this week. So at this point in time, no subrecipients have failed to provide things on time. And as you can see with some of them, we've already gotten all of their information and we're just going through that contracting process and getting it over to the DA's office. So I'm not going to go through each of these since they are going to change, but just gives you an idea of where everybody is at. And then again, talking a little bit about that low, medium, and high risk monitoring plan, just reminding everybody what that really entails, and the biggest difference being how you're able to get your reimbursements. When we go through our monitoring checklist after we've made someone a subrecipient, and then when we start doing reviewing of invoices and we do site visits, again, this is just a quick reminder of the steps that are gone through with all of your subrecipients and what it looks like from the start to the finish. So including going through the eligibility steps and then making sure that we do our site visits. So this is just kind of the big overview. You guys are very much aware, but just a little bit of a reminder. Jumping into work plan. So this has become kind of the most important slide we have to date right now because it's highlighting how closely we are getting to our deadlines. So our goal, as I've said, is to get all of the subrecipient information on the 13th of this month, and then we would like to try and get as many as possible onto the September 26th BOCC and budget boards so that they can start getting their funds right away. So that's in 16 days. Our preferred obligation deadline, so these are just kind of the things that we're working towards so that if there's anything pending, is going to still be that November 1st date. That's 52 days away. And then when we get into December, we are saying that the county drop deadline is the 20th, and that is 101 days away. And then the actual deadline being the 31st is 112 days away. So those numbers are quickly dwindling, and we're getting to the end of the year rather quickly, but just keeping everybody up to date on where we're at. As we look ahead, we are here in the September timeframe, as we've already talked about, mostly focused on our subrecipients. We have highlighted in October the potential for surge work if project funds need to be reallocated, or as we're closing up some of the infrastructure projects and moving those funds around into the remaining open contracts. We will start getting into additional subrecipient trainings. So at the end of this month, we will do a training for your second round of applicants, giving them that welcome. Here's all the steps that you will have to follow. Here's what your contract means. Here's how you'll end up filling out your quarterly reporting. And then we will also have a separate one for your already current subrecipients, just reminding them of their quarterly reporting because we're going to start having to collect all of that in October. And then we will get into November and December with our obligation deadlines quickly approaching, and of course, always ongoing site visits that we're doing with your current subrecipients. And in the future, we will do with the other 42 as well. And then as you'll see, we've got a couple of deadlines coming up with the quarterly reporting. So this is just everything we talked about more on a visual scale, letting you know where those purple pieces are or where we're anticipating those compliance webinars with your new subrecipients and then your current ones as well, highlighting that, again, potential for surge work to reallocate some of your projects. And then that will slow down a little bit as we get into January, February, and it goes back to just being some of the site visits. That really walks us through the next couple of months. Other than, as we've been talking, there are some projects that we will begin to start rolling back and closing out. These are not quite ready yet. There's been some transitions within the county, and so we want to verify that all of these POs are closed before we actually formally close the projects out. But these are the three that we are anticipating coming back relatively soon. You'll see it's just a little under $400,000. And then you'll want to make a policy decision on how you'll want to reallocate that, whether to current projects or new. But we will see a couple more of these projects in the next couple of weeks as well. I would say next month, you'll see a handful more of the infrastructure projects closing out. I know I went through that pretty quickly because you guys had already been here a while. So if you have any questions, happy to take them at this time. But I know we walked through this with each office yesterday as well.
Thank you for the report. One of the things that we had talked about in our meeting was adding all of the recipients of our ARPA funds to the website with the amounts, so that way we can talk and show the community in regards to who we're supporting. And so I think that's something that will be very, very valuable.
Yes, we will get with Bob to add that list as a chart saying which organizations, their project ID, and then how much they were awarded. And then for your current ones, and I know you guys know this, but if anybody is ever wondering, if you do go into the website and look at the annual report, you can see what's listed for your current ones as well. But we'll make it easier now with everybody's on that homepage.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Okay. Any citizen, what do we, oh.
Okay.
Any citizen participation? Brooke? Seeing none. Any board comments?
Thank you.
Okay. No board comments. Don't see any new business. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.